Right, what have I got here? Boosh. Okay, so it's another keychain light. Now, as you know, one of the things I like to do on this channel is review things that people actually use, not always the super Gucci high-end stuff where you need a golf caddy to take it around with you, or, you know, or 6 mates to hold it up. It's so heavy. That's all fun and good, and, you know, a billion squillion lumens later, that's all fun. But back in the real world, where there's flashlights that people want to buy and use, you've got things like this. So, as you know, I mean, here's just a quick selection. I've got boxes and boxes of keychain lights. I'm always testing them. I do carry one myself. I generally carry my EDC light, and a keychain light is a bare minimum. And it's a really handy thing to have because, as the old adage goes, sometimes the best flashlight can often be the one that you've actually got to hand, and you haven't always got to hand the EDC light, whereas your keys are generally on you as a matter of purpose. And therefore you can quickly look for something you've dropped, or look into the car, or quickly look at something. So this is the market that this is sort of going for. Now, I hadn't heard of Cyansky, but I had a look at the website, and they do quite a lot of stuff. So Cyansky contacted me and they said, do you want to have a look at any of these lights? Choose a few. So I thought that they had quite an interesting looking headlamp. I'll look at that when I get time. And I thought, I like a little keychain light, so I asked to have a look at this. They do a smaller one, but that looked so small. I thought, how long's the battery going to last on that? You know, this one looked better, and it's the M1R. That's not Mir, like the Russian space station. So Cyansky. So I'll have a quick look at the box, but then I will explain it all thoroughly. It's only 200 lumens, but it is a rather small light. It has a red light function and a UV function as well. And Type C, hooray! I know I kept banging on about this for years, but finally manufacturers are realizing that that's the way forward. It comes in 3 colors. I mean, it's got cool black, desert yellow, and burgundy. What they mean is, that means red, that means brown, and that means black. Especially when I look on the, in fact, on the box you can see, to me, that's not really burgundy, it's red, and that's brown, it's not really desert yellow. I don't see any yellow in that. It's like mud color. Not a problem also, pretty muted colours. Here's some of these statistics there. There you go, if you really want to care about them. And tiny little print here, if you've got a microscope, you work in a lab somewhere, there you go. And there you go. So we'll go through it though, and like I say, they sent me this for free, and they said, do an honest review. They don't get to see this until it goes live. They don't get to edit it. They don't get to tell me what to put in this review. It is an honest review, the end. It always will be on this channel, and that's just the way I do things. So let's get this out. So I've put this back in. Obviously I've carried this for a couple of weeks now. I've had it on a little titanium keychain on my keys. I carried it alongside a Night Cortiki, which I always carry anyway. So let's see what you get in the box. So get shot of that, boosh, stick it in the bin. Here's the instructions, which I can't be bothered to read. So let's have a look. There's some sort of runtime graph there. Okay, fair enough. 200 lumens and it dips, blah, 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 and then it goes along. Wonderful. So I'm doing this in 4K. If you really care, you can pause that and read that. There you go, but I will go over all of these statistics, including weight and things like that. I mean, this comes in at 19.5 grams. It's very, very light, even though it is a full solid metal piece of kit. So, boosh, get rid of that. So there's the light there, which I put back in, get rid of that. There's a little warranty card, and that was on it when I took it out. Okay, so lanyard-wise, I didn't use this one. I used a smaller titanium split ring I've got. Actually, because I used the titanium, I think I might have damaged this a little bit. There. It's really taken a bit of a bashing. The rest of the light's done okay. You know, the tip and everything. The usual wear and tear you'd expect from a couple of weeks carrying with. See, it's hard on these lights when you put them with a keychain because they're in your pocket and they're rubbing against metal. They're rubbing against metal, and every time you walk, they're rubbing against metal. So I think I've given this a fair test. But like I say, the damage here, I think it's because it's quite rough, that titanium thing I've got. And titanium is very, very hard in comparison to aluminum here, which this is a full aluminum CNC piece of block here. And then you have the plastic TIRs up front. But I think it's done pretty well in that regards. So what is it we're looking at here? So we'll go over the little bits and then I'll show you the light. So you get a split ring. It seems okay. I didn't use this one. I used my key ring one. Fine. And then it's a loop there. Okay. I quite like this. I like the way they've put in this sort of Celtic braided thing here. So if you want to pretend you're a Viking or something, you can. So that's quite nice. Nice, something different. I like that. It just gives you a little bit of extra move, and it also sets it apart from your keychain. So if you've got a big bunch of rubbish here, it means it can hang lower, whereas some of them just give you the split link and you're trying to fish the damn keychain light out. It can be a nuisance. So I appreciate the fact they're giving a longer one here. Let's just test. So that's hurting. Ow, 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 ow. You can see that hurt my finger there. Yeah, no problems here. Pretty decent. You know, I've got no sort of problems with that. And I just like the way that they've done this braid. I wonder why they've chosen a braid. Braid is very tough actually. In fishing we use braided line when we want to get through the weeds and things like that, so I know it's good for that. Anyway, Bush, get that in the bin. What else did they give you? Well, they give you a Type A to Type C, because this is a Type C charging, and I'll show you their cable working. So there's your Type A, which has to go in one way around, but then Type C, omnidirectional. It doesn't matter whether it's that way or that way, which is brilliant. It's the future, and it's the way everything's going. And in fact, in the future, there'll probably just be Type C to Type C, which utilizes power delivery, but I'll cover that in the charging section. So I'll leave that there just for the charging section. So enough waffling. Here is the light. So let's have a close look at this. So it's one piece of aluminium here, and then you have the charging port there. Charging port's okay. It's quite easy to open though, look. But to be fair, and I'm going to try and get a good shot of this, if I can get it to focus, that can come up, but that doesn't lift it. You have to pull that, then you have to pull the second section. So watch, then that comes out. So I appreciate the fact that they've done it in stages there. So if that flicks up, it doesn't engage the flap. It's not until you actually pull. So I'll let them off a little bit for that, although I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of a substantial flap here, or this section that goes into the recess, I would have liked to have seen a tiny little lip on it. I was looking at the SP36, which uses a lip on it, and one of the Astroluxes, and it really makes a difference. It gives you like an airtight seal, although they are claiming this is IPX8. I'm guessing that's only IPX8 if that is properly seated, and it's decent, it's okay, it's not one of the worst. I would just like to have seen it a little bit tighter there, but okay. So aluminum, you've got some grooves there, and then it sort of a slight recess there, and then this is solid metal, including the bit that would attach to your keyring there. So pretty good, nice and thick, although the hole is big enough. One bugbear of mine is some of them, they give you these tiny little holes and you're expected to get a split link through, and it's a nightmare. In this occasion they've done a pretty decent job, so quite nice. But like I say, I think I've knackered that with the titanium, but never mind, that's my fault. And there's the up front section. So in the center you have your main beam, which goes up to a maximum of 200 lumens, and then left and right you have your secondary functions. So on the right hand side there you can see the UV, and on the left is your red, so red function only. It's pretty bright actually for a red light, which I quite like. I know some people say you don't want red to be too bright. Yeah, but you want it usable, because I've got some with red light and they're bloody useless, especially headlamps. By the time it reaches the ground you can't see anything, so what's the point in having a red light function? At least this one's quite bright. So how does it work here? So 200 lumens on max. Inside the cell it's a 200 milliamp hour lithium ion, they're saying, and the button's quite nice. It doesn't go on straight away, you've got to click and hold, which I think is better on a keychain light. Although even with that function, it's easy for a leg or keys to push against something and make it go off by accident, but they do have e-locker, which I'll cover in the UI. Okay, so 19.5 grams in weight, pretty good. IPX8. Now IPX8 means this should be able to withstand loads of dust and loads of water. In other words, you can submerge that in water, not just rain, you can submerge that in water and be confident that it isn't going to knack. So extremely good. IPX8, nice one, Cyansky, I like that, especially for a keychain light. 2 meter drop rating, which is very impressive. Most lights come with 1 meter or 1.5, depending on the manufacturer and the setup. But 2 meter drop rating, excellent. You know, for a value manufacturer, this is pretty good. So again, big thumbs up for that. I think that's really, really good. Full metal body, and it's Type C. So the question is, how does it charge? Well, okay, so let's open this and I'll show you. In fact, we'll use their cable. So here's a trusty charger, and I'll show you what the crack is. So if we put the Type A in the right way up, would help. And then your Type C, so all you do is you just stick it in here, and it should flash red to tell you that's charging. And then it goes green when it's finished. So are you ready? Boom. Right, so there you go. So what's happening here? So ignore that figure on the left. So 5 volts, 0.1 of an amp. So you're probably thinking, hang on, 0.1 of an amp, that's not very good, is it? But it is low, but bear in mind the battery in this is only 200 milliamp hours. That's very, very small when you compare it to something like a 3000 milliamp hour of a 30T on a Samsung 18650 or something like that. It doesn't need a massive long charge, sorry, a high charging rate in amps. To be fair, I think that's sensible on a small battery. You don't want a massive voltage and amps pumping in. You're just going to knack it, and it takes over an hour to charge when I run it all the way down. But you know, that's acceptable because it's a low charge rate, and it didn't take too long. I mean, they're quoting 1.5 hours, I think, on the website, whereas it was never that slow for me, although I never let it go mega low. That might be under laboratory conditions. So it flashes red, and then when it's finished, goes green. Done. Okay, so the question is, does it work whilst it's charging? Well, it does, which is brilliant. Watch. There you go. So, I mean, I know I rabbit on about this, but for camping and things like that, that is brilliant. That's a great feature. It means you can get on with stuff whilst it's charging. Really good. And then you would obviously turn that on, but you would set it to a really low level like that, its lowest. Get on with whatever while that charges and tops the battery up. So I really like that feature. So the next question is, if I can find the lead, there it is. So the next question is, does it charge Type C to Type C? Well, let's have a try. So there's Type C, and then here's the other end. So in other words, does it have power delivery? Let's check. So plug this in. Now it should flash red, and it does. There you go, charging again. So power delivery compatible. Again, brilliant, well done. So many manufacturers seem to think they can just leave that out, and as we move forward in time, that's going to become more and more important. I've got AC outlets in the house now which are Type C. So it's Type C coming out to a Type C. We need to have this moving forward, and this does. So it is charging, and again, you can use it whilst charging with power delivery. Fantastic, well done, thank you. Boom. Okay, so that works with their cable and mine. Boosh. And I've charged it many times. I've never really had any problems. So well done to them. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what this button can also do. So it's also a battery level. So if I actuate this, solid green. So what is that? Because that's going to go off there. So what on earth's going on there? Well, that's your battery level indicator. Another good point. So if it's solid green like that, the battery is between 180% full. If it flashes green when you do that, it's between 80 and 50% full. If it's solid red, it's between 50 and going down towards 20%. And then once it's flashing red, when you press that, you really need to charge. You're in the danger zone. You're in danger of affecting the long-term chargeability and capacity of this cell. So flashes red, it's less than 20%. So brilliant. It also has lockout. So bear in mind, there's something of a lockout, because if you press it, nothing happens. You need to press and hold to make it go on. But double press, right? See the two flashes, right? So now if you press it, you just get a momentary and nothing else. There. So nice to see an e-lockout, especially on a keychain, like when, as I say, if you've got that in your pocket, it can get pushed against keys and all sorts of things. You just want a little flash there, boom, that's it. And then to unlock, two, brilliant, well done. So another good feature. So we'll turn that off. So how else does the UI work? Well, like I say, you press and hold, and it goes to your main modes. So your main modes is using this central TIR here. So this is your main mode. So let's have a look at what they are. So I'll cycle through them. So there's the lowest. So that's low. They claim that's 1 lumen. It seems maybe, I would say that's probably about 2 or 3, but okay, 1 lumen. They're saying you get 40 hours out of a full charge. Pretty impressive. As I say, it doesn't feel like 1 lumen to me, but okay, I'm going off the figures they've given because I don't have the equipment to accurately test that. Okay, so press again takes you to medium, much brighter. I think that's about 25 lumens, although again it looks about 50 to me, but never mind. They're saying you get 5.5 hours out of a 200 milliamp hour lithium ion. That's pretty good. So, you know, okay, if those figures are accurate and have no reason to believe they're not, then that's pretty good. Nice floody beam, isn't it? Look, even on that mode, look, you've got a hotspot up close, obviously, but then as you come back to just there, quite nice and floody. There's a tiny little bit of green in it, but I'm being really picky here. There's not a lot. Actually, on camera it looks a tiny little bit green, but in person that's a lot redder to my human eyes. So okay, I did do testing on this CRI, and I'll cover that in a moment. Okay, so pretty good. And then high is 200 lumens, and they're saying you get about 1.2 hours. So there's high. Not much more of a difference from the last mode, is it? That's supposed to be 200 lumens. So let's go to medium again. So there's medium. They're saying that's 25, and that's 200. Doesn't feel like it. Okay, but they're saying 200. Okay, so pretty good. I didn't find it was just enough to walk by, but I wouldn't want to do it in bad conditions, and because of that, I haven't done a lot of outdoor footage. The reason for that was I did some walking footage, and this was, by the time this was held up to where my head would be and hands, I didn't feel that I was getting a lot of light for walking. I wouldn't use this for going for a hike. Okay, 200 lumens, I think you need 300-ish plus. That's just my personal opinion. Even on this nice floody beam here, I think it's probably not enough for that, but as a keychain light, it's fine. So just bear that in mind. So as a result of that, I haven't got loads of outdoor footage. I've done as best I can in side-by-sides and colour reproduction and things like that. But just bear that in mind, because when I got the footage back, I thought, we're not really seeing a lot here. So what's the point? And I've tested it against lights like the Type C, which is 700 lumens. That looked fine, but then that looked horrific. But then is that fair when that's 700 lumens and this is 200? Probably not a fair comparison, but I like to show the high end of the market as well as the low end. I mean, I did compare it to a Nightcore tube, which is like 70 or 80 lumens, you know, and you've got this flying back in your face, which isn't ideal. But anyway, enough rabbiting. Okay, so those are your main modes. Now you do have the secondary lights, so click and hold. Now if you want to go to the secondary, you click and hold there. Okay, so we've got red light. Now I think that's pretty bright, which is good, because if I bring that up to hip height, see, it's pretty good. It actually reaches the ground and was usable. I was able to use this to walk around urban environments. Too many times, especially on cheap headlamps, you get these red LEDs and they're absolutely bloody useless, because by the time it's up at head height, you can't see a damn thing. So it's almost like they've added a red light mode and went, haha, there you go, tick in the box, red light mode. Yeah, but it's crap. Whereas this isn't a crap one, it's actually quite bright. Some people might say, well, that's too bright. Okay, the reasoning for that is, let's say you're trying to read a map. Okay, let's say you're trying to read a map. If it's too energetic, the whole point of a red light mode is it doesn't ruin night vision. So if it's just too bright and you're on something reflective, like a waxy map or something, and that's all coming back in your face, as soon as you turn that off, you've defeated the purpose of using red light. But really, you would have that back up here, wouldn't you? Where it's not that bad. That's how I would term it anyway. So really, I think it's something like about, on that website, they say it's 13 lumens. It feels like about 25 to me, but okay, or 20, but okay. So they're saying 13 lumens on that. You also have, now it's got memory mode, so it should go back to that, yeah. So you've got the next mode, which is flash red. You can use that for emergency purposes, I guess, or put on the, if you stick it on the back of your bike, or if you're lost, or you're, trying to a rally point, or whatever the purpose for that is. And then your next mode is UV. So there's UV. So not very strong, but obviously we're in a light environment here. But as you can see there, try and get a little look at this. So quite a wide beam. And it does the job, if you're looking for counterfeits or, whatever, or you want to join CSI, that CSI Miami, that's fine. And it certainly does the job. But obviously, as you pull back, it's not that bright. And outside, it was of limited use, unless you're looking for scorpions in Arizona or something like that. Okay, so turn that off. And it does have memory mode, so it remembers the last mode you're in, which is great. Okay, so far, pretty impressive. Apart from the fact it's only 200 lumens, but then your battery's going to last longer than other lights. If you understand that this is a keychain light for very up close stuff, it does a good job. I certainly wouldn't hike with it, put it that way. Okay, so let's put that down here, and then let's bring up a little bit of information here. Okay, so I did some testing. So I tested the CRI and the tint and all of that stuff. So in regards to CRI, which is color rendering index, in other words, how close is it to natural light? Bearing in mind, natural light should be around 100%. So you're getting a good color reproduction index, a good full color gamut. This was about the 73.6 mark, I think, off the top of my head. Pretty decent. Around 70 is where you should be on a non-specific high CRI light. It does a really good job. Absolutely fine. I've got no problems with that. Quite a white light, not super white though. So in regards to tint, it was 5,864 Kelvin. So 5,864 Kelvin is up towards the light end. It's not the super cool whites like the 6,000 sort of 500-ish, but it was reasonable and it wasn't annoying. And you don't really buy one of these lights for the tint anyway. So that's what that was. Now in regards to pulse width modulation, there was no risk on this light. In other words, when I say no risk, it was in the green zone. There is some, but you're not going to see it because it's so rapid. However, interestingly, and I'll bring up three little graphs here. On low and medium, it uses pulse width modulation. In other words, it turns the light on and off to get the sort of output that it wants, and yet on high there was none, which is very strange, isn't it? So what they chose to do was turn it on and off rapidly on the low and the medium to get the output that they want in regards to lumens, and then just forgo it and just slap it all through for the high level with no pulse width modulation to get the 200 lumens. So that was quite interesting to find there, but that's how they've chosen to do it. Okay, so let's get rid of all this stuff on the screen here. Okay, so let's go over some pros and cons, and then I'll show you some other lights that I tested it with, and then obviously we've got the outdoor footage which I've done. Okay, so pros: memory mode. In other words, it remembers what your last mode was. That's handy time saver. I like that. It's got battery level indication. I find that very, very important on a keychain light, because it's the light you rely on in emergencies. So you need to know what's going on. It's Type C, and it's power delivery compatible. It works whilst charging in Type C mode or the power delivery mode, in other words Type C to Type C. It's IPX8, which is way up there, excellent. 2 meter drop rain, again, really good, and I have been brutal with this one, and I think the paint's done pretty good actually. It's done better than some of the Soferns and Workgosses and things like that, so okay, no problems there, well done. It's got the E-lock out, you know, the 2 clicks, which is good. Full metal body aluminum, quite thick, but it's only 19 grams. Bright red light mode, again, another good point. So what sort of cons are there? Well, the only con I've got is it's only 200 lumens on maximum. And when I tried to walk with this, I found it a bit difficult. It was on that limit where I thought, I wouldn't do this. In an urban environment, I probably would, but where you've got some light sources, but in total darkness, away from habitation, I don't think this is light enough. That's just my personal opinion. Other people might say, stop being soft, TrailTrek, but I think it's not bright enough for that usage case. However, if this is on a set of keys, then it shouldn't probably be an issue. Okay, so let's look at some other lights that I also looked at. There they are. Okay, so let's put them here. Right, so what have we got here? Well, first off, I tested it against this is the Astrolux K2, so glow-in-the-dark body. I don't know why they're still on, but that's your auxiliary tiny lights. You've got different modes on them, and then you also have your auxiliary lights. You've got a red light mode, a high CRI mode, and what have you, and this is a ramping interface, so you can ramp it up. It's high CRI as well, which is quite nice. You get around 300 lumens maximum on this, so this is something you may want to consider. So size wise, let's have a look. So it's not as wide, but it's taller, isn't it? And I would say this stretches a bit further, but to be fair, it's 300 lumens, whereas this is around 200. I can hike with this, just probably not with that. I wouldn't risk it, especially if it's really bad sort of conditions. So there's just one possibility for you. I also tested it on the high end of the spectrum. It's the Tip SE, much bigger. So as you can see, if we line them up, look, much, much bigger. Although, to be fair, this is 700 lumens, and it's using 2 outputs at the same time there, so pretty nice tint on that actually for a night core. But as you can see, it's double. So do you need 700 lumens on a keychain light? Some people do, and the more the merrier. Yes, I understand that, but this is smaller and slightly cheaper. So there's another option. Also, you've got the original tip, so that's the Tip SE. This is the original tip. So instead of 700, this is, I think it's 360-ish lumens, and again, pretty good. It's got like a frosted optic. Does an okay job, and I've tested them side by side. You know, I've got no complaints about this light. But again, size difference, you're going to come up with the same issue. It's bigger. But I think that's justifiable. A lot of these keychain fobs for cars are bigger than this, so that's not that bad. So there you go, but around similar price to this. And then I tested against something really small, which is a Nightcore tube. So small, it's not Type C, unfortunately. They should do an updated version of this actually. It's only around 70 or 80 lumens. There's the power pack in there, you can see. Quite interesting. The only problem I have with this is it's fine for around the house. I'm not being negative. It's an okay keychain light, it's fine, but the light comes back in your face because that needs to be covered. You see on this one, when you use the light, this isn't protruding and the light doesn't come back in your eyes and kind of irritate you, night blind you, whereas it does with this. But this is just a cheap keychain light, just something else you might want to think of. There's the glow-in-the-dark version of the Nightcore Tiki here, which is quite interesting, and again, that's not ramping, but it has its basic modes. It's pretty decent, and it has your secondary modes, which is a UV and a high CRI mode. So high CRI, but it's very floody if you wanted that. And then I tested it against the, I think this is the Jet Beam Mini one, is it? You know, I've got so many lights, I kind of keep up on the names. Yeah, Mini one it says there. So great light, really like this. It's got a nice bright red light mode, secondary modes. I like the button on this. In fact, I prefer the button on this to that one. In fact, the worst button out of the whole lot of them is on this, even though I really like this light. It's got all these little added extra features. I really like it. I just wish they'd change the damn button on that. That's the one thing that I don't like on that light. I also tested it against the Nikkor Tiny. This is 380 lumens, I think, with a nice floody TIR. Pretty good there. So very floody TIR there with micro lenses. So that's what I tested it against. So in summing up, I would say if you want loads of lumens, obviously you would go for that. If you want hardly any, you would go for that. But you know, do you really want that when you can get something with 200 lumens? These are 300 lumens, 380, 360. But this is quite small and compact, so if you just want a small and compact light, it's hard to mark this down. So like I say, memory mode, which is great, battery level indication, Type C and power delivery, works whilst charging, IPX8, well done, 2 meter drop rating, very well done, it's got e-lockout, full metal body, the red light mode isn't useless like a lot of the lights. The only con is it's only 200 lumens. I wish they could do like a secondary, maybe just do like an M2R or a special edition and double that to 400, 300, 350, 400. I think this would be really, really good. Nice form factor, really good. Like I say, just not a lot of lumens. So in that regards, to set out to do what it does, which is, and there's the box, it's supposed to be a good keychain light with multifunctions. An EDC keychain light, it fits the bill. There's not a lot I can slag it off for. So I'm gonna have to give it an honest, let's have a think. I'll give this, but now bear in mind, in today's market, I'm having to know the fact that there's 300 lumens is becoming the norm. Therefore, I'm going to mark it down a little bit for that. So I'll give it an 8. And I'll say the reason I'm giving it an 8 is because the only con is it needs more lumens. And I would say on the high, the 200 doesn't feel like 200. It feels like maybe it's 150-ish, but that's maybe my eyes, and it could be an artifact of how this is working. And it's winter here at the moment, so when I'm in a completely dark environment, it's all mud on the floor. There's not a lot of reflective surfaces, so I could be at error there, but I don't have the equipment to prove it either way. But I would say 8 out of 10. Well done on really good statistics on this. You know, 2 meter drop rating, IPX8, power delivery. It's got everything other than it needs a little bit more lumens. So well done, Cyansky, good job. Maybe it's release another one with a little bit more lumens, but other than that, good stuff. I really like it. So enough of me waffling. We'll go out and we'll have a little look. But like I say, I wasn't able to get the level of stuff I wanted. Normally I go for longer hikes with these lights, but I can't justify it at this lumen level. I just can't. It was less safe and the footage was poor. So we weren't going to learn a lot from that sort of footage. So I binned the footage and I've just done some basic stuff. So 8 out of 10, well done. Enough of me waffling. Right, let's look at the footage. Whee!